Hello everybody, my name's Julie Mann. I am a professional network marketer, an actor and also an EFT practitioner. And today I'm joined by my friend Anthony Asquith. Hi Anthony.
Hi.
For those people that don't know Anthony, he is a karate and self-defense instructor. He's also the owner of Dentcom, isn't it? Training.
That's right, yeah.
An author. And we actually met a few years ago. We were actually in a cafe, standing in the queue, and
You chatted me up. I had these beautiful boots on.
All I said was, I love your trainers. They were bright yellow, and we just struck up a conversation. And actually,
straight away.
Yeah, and we've just been in touch ever since, haven't we? So it's really fantastic. And the other thing I didn't mention, of course, is that you're an avid samba dancer.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, I haven't done much of that lately, unfortunately, because of the lockdown.
But he's also good at it. If you go to, I've seen you in a few parades. Fantastic. Anyway, we won't be talking about that now, but actually,
no, that's fine.
You know, at that time we met, you were busy, you just finished writing your book, The Human Zoo.
Yeah.
And I know that since then you've written a couple more, all of them are available on Amazon. But before we get talking about that, you know, how about you tell us a little bit about your journey up until that point?
Okay. I initially became interested in studying human behavior because I too was involved in network marketing back in the probably mid-90s, and it was a great place to find out not just about how network marketing works, but also about human behavior psychology. They really pushed that concept through. Became very interested in hypnosis, went for a one single session of hypnosis myself to try it out, to see what it was like, and it was amazing. And then I signed up to become a psychotherapist and learned to become a hypnotist myself in my own right. I've seen thousands of patients over the years in various guises. And then, well, in simple terms, got involved in working in dentistry, working with dental clinicians all around the country, have been doing that for about 17, 18 years now. And then decided in 2016, I was going to write this book. And the reason that set me thinking about not thinking, but actually got me off my bum to do it, was there was this amazing statistic from a company called Benenden Healthcare, where they'd said that the average Brit in the UK in 2016 worried up to 2.5 hours a day. And I thought, this is the time. This is the point. Not all at once, but throughout the day in different sporadic sessions. And I thought, right. And I set off by just simply sitting in Starbucks and produced this 150-page book over several months. It took me, but the staff at Starbucks were very helpful and very kind to me, regularly bringing me drinks around. And then I met Jules, and that was it. That's
amazing. So on the journey to do the many things that you do, you must have had some obstacles. So what were those obstacles and how did you actually overcome them?
Obstacles. How can I put this? Yeah, there have been a lot, but one of the areas when I first studied the psychotherapy in 2000, my tutor came to me and he said, I've got a book that you should read. It's called Learned Optimism. And it was by a guy called Martin Seligman. And then he casually said, but you don't really need to read it because you've got bags of this, but it's really good to understand. And at the time, I consider myself to be an optimist, but I also discovered reading the book that I, even despite my excitability and optimism, have very high levels of pessimism, but they only last for like an hour, and that's it. It's gone. I just switch it off and go away. And so whenever I've been faced with, and nowadays I actively teach this to clinicians and staff members all around the UK, but I actually now quite relish sometimes having struggle challenge, because it gives me a chance to think and work my sort of mental brain to look at a situation. So if something's happened, what humans tend to do is they replay the video of what happened, what was said, how it was said, and then kind of churn the memory round with all the feelings it brought up. And they'll do this for several hours in a day, maybe. And then that goes on to several months and then several years. And before you know it, you've become a believer in your own mentality. But what it was important from the book was the idea that you could question your beliefs. So I call this the Judge Rinder effect. And if you've ever seen Judge Rinder on television, he's amazing. And he'll have the defendant and the plaintiff in the room, and he'll have big beady eyes, and he'll look at them squaring, and he'll be saying stuff like, "So you mean to tell me that but these facts don't add up?" Now, what essentially I was alluding to is this idea that, you know, when we become aroused or upset by setbacks, our chimp mind takes over and kind of runs the show. But that's like believing the thought process of a 4-year-old. Don't put too much rest in it. So you've got to stop and ask yourself, well, look, what is the reality of the situation? So, you know, depending on what it is, you would then question, for example, was it all your fault? In many cases, most of the situations that happen around you are rarely anything to do with you. They're often other people's schisms and behaviors. And 9 times out of 10, you are really directly to blame for something that does happen. Was it something that you potentially could have done something about? Now, there is a degree of that, but then invariably a lot of these things that affect us most are often the smallest things that come on a Tuesday afternoon when you're blindsided and not expecting them. Just a bad phone call or a letter or a bill, and they can just kind of quickly take over. So primarily, you know, pick up the book. It's by a guy called Martin Seligman, Learned Optimism, and it teaches you how to move away from what's called learned helplessness, where you just surrender and give up. So because of that book, and I tell thousands of dentists around the country, pick this book up. It's about 15 quid. It's not a pitch for the book, of course. Pick it up. It'll save you countless hours wasted stressing. Really will. Learned Optimism, Martin Seligman, one of the best books out there.
Brilliant. And
that's how I get over setbacks.
Fab. Did I hear you say schisms?
Schisms, you did.
Yeah, well, so can you just say something more about that for anyone who's never heard that expression, including me?
Yeah. People have twisted psychologies and they react unconsciously to many things. You know, so for example, the shape of my face. If you, you know, if you're on this call, you know, if you're a lady listening to this, you probably have had a girlfriend say to you, "Oh no, do you know, I just couldn't go out with that guy because he's got the same name as a previous boyfriend who did me wrong." Just because he has the same name, he may be a different character, different personality, but literally the schism is around the thing like the bias towards the name, or it could be the face shape. Maybe his chin reminds you of someone who was, you know, really good to you in the past. You don't know them, but you immediately feel a kind of sense of connection. And that's what I call the little schisms, biases and interpretations. There's many of them.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So, you know, obviously you do many, many things, don't you? And I would say that overall, personally, I would say overall that really what you do is empower others. Is that?
Yeah.
You think that's fair to say?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely blessed. Very fortunate. Got a really couple of cracking jobs at a couple of the local schools where I teach teenagers, years sort of 7s to year 13s, self-defense, and I've got my own little karate club which runs really well. And the whole premise behind it is, you know, to stay away from trouble, avoid trouble, and if it does get rough, you know what to do to get out and get away from stuff. So that's really why I do that. And again, as you say, it's about empowerment. The important thing for me is that people feel more confident because they do this kind of stuff. You know, it's not about being able to walk around going, look at me. It's just more being able to be aware of what's around you, what to look for, and not to fall foul of prey problems from other people. And, you know.
Brilliant. I'd like to go back to that, but for the moment, you touched briefly on DentCom. So what is the purpose of DentCom? Tell me more.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. How do I put this in a nutshell? I use the 3 C's in DentCom, which is communicate, collaborate, and connect with your patients. So I've worked with dentists, have done, as I said, for about 17 years. Communicate, collaborate, and connect. primarily results in the fact that you can understand a person, understand their style of approach to the world, understand yourself, and then you're able to adapt your approach to them in order that you can communicate, collaborate, and connect. But more importantly, because it reduces the amount of stress, because there's nothing worse than trying to deal with someone and you're making subjective judgments about them because of their behavior. So one of the areas I teach is how to read personalities, the different styles. So for example, Jules and I, we both share this very outgoing friendship relationship. So that's an inspired style. But then of course, somebody else might find us very difficult to deal with. So if someone's a bit more quiet and cautious, they might look at us two and think, what a pair of absolute numpties. So they may prefer the company of more reserved people. So what I would be, for example, working with a more reserved person, I would slow down, say less, not be so chitty chatty, get to the point and keep to the point, so that they don't get stressed by my sort of interactions with them. And of course, what they tend to do is, because they feel more comfortable, they relax. And so they become slightly more towards me. It's a kind of balancing act. And so I teach that in dentistry. And just in the last month, I've had the real joyous privilege of picking up an amazing job where I've lectured to around about 2,830 dental professionals up and down the coast of Scotland. You didn't know that about me, Jules, did you? Eh? I couldn't believe it myself. So we've been on GoToWebinar and talking about complaint management. We've been talking about managing stress, communicate, collaborate, and connect. And we've also done personalities. And next week I've got a course on what's called human factors. Why dentists make mistakes and how to avoid them having those mistakes happen and become worse, or big problems, medical errors as they call them. So that's my next project for the day, over the next few days.
Brilliant. And let's face it, who likes going to the dentist? So if you've got
Nobody.
a dentist that is not relaxed, that's really going to affect your experience, isn't it, in the surgery? We want dentists to be absolutely lovely. We want them to be able to communicate. I mean, my dentist, she tells me what she's doing very gently, and
Yeah.
even though I don't relish the thought of going, I really, really appreciate that level of, communication. That makes me feel much more reassured.
Yeah. People like us, we like to have a soft voice tone spoken to us and kind mannerism. But there are other people equally, who aren't interested in the lovey-dovey stuff. They're just in there, get the truth done, get it done as quickly as possible, as little inconvenience or discomfort as possible, and be able to get back out there. Whereas we might appreciate the time and the consideration and a bit of TLC from the dentist. Others just wouldn't want that. For them, it would be just the convenience and the speed of the thing. Whereas others might, for example, enjoy how much the dentist knows and how much he's able to explain the technology behind it all. So different, different strokes for different folks, as it were. And basically, I teach dentists how to get to that sort of level of understanding and then work more collaboratively with their patients in that level, also with their staff and their colleagues.
Perfect. And I guess the thing about the 3 C's is that you could apply the 3 C's to absolutely every area of your life. Everywhere. You got your life sorted. In that moment.
Well, I sometimes wonder, does it cause more confusion?
Isn't it? Well, what I mean is, to be able to bring that to whatever situation you're dealing with would enable a lot more freedom and probably power within that, within that situation.
And it doesn't just go to one-to-one relationships. I mean, if you think about, for example, we've had Brexit, and I won't spend any time expressing views about it because, it's not that. One of the biggest problems around that is not just it's not just the negotiation itself about who gets what, but it's about the emotional states of the negotiators in the rooms, how they feel about the other people. And, you often hear them say negotiations broke down shortly after starting and basically that's not about often to do with the position of what's being negotiated. It's more about how that person might feel about other people. I mean, I explain in dentistry, for example, that, you're twice as likely to get a complaint or being sued by a patient, not because of anything you've done wrong, just because they didn't like you. and they're even beginning to, in advance, they are even beginning to look for things to go wrong before anything actually has. Isn't that marvelous? Isn't that incredible?
Wow.
And that's one of those schisms I talked about.
Absolutely. Let's go back to karate. So obviously, learning karate takes commitment, it takes focus, an incredible discipline.
That helps.
What was it that had you take it up in the first place, and what has karate taught you?
Patience, tolerance of others would be a definite thing. I took it up because I remember at about the age of 16 getting attacked. I tried to hit the chap who was wearing a motorbike helmet with a fist, which didn't work too well because it hit the handbar. Of course, now, were that ever to happen again, I'd hit him with the upside of my thumb here, right under the jawline. Anyway, the point being, what has it taught me? Not everybody is dynamic in their physical movement and capability. But one of the things about this isn't any form of martial art really, what attracts so many people is the fact that anybody really can do something, particularly. And ultimately, some people are better than others, but never compare yourself to other people is one of the lessons I've learned about karate. Jules, I've been doing it for 35 years. I'm okay at it. I'm just okay. Yeah. But if I spent my time comparing to some of the people who were absolutely brilliant, I probably would have quit. So I recognize that, I may not be the best karateka out there. I'm pretty decent, just okay. But I'm great at teaching others how to be brilliant. That's definitely the thing I have learned doing it is, not having an ego. That's the other thing that martial arts definitely does make a difference for. You kind of give up carrying this attitude around because it gives you a chance to go out into a practice-controlled environment and practice within certain guided disciplines, action, movement, which is very stress-relieving and very comfortable. You get to know the people really well. And I mean, we have an old saying in karate, those who train together stay together. And you develop such amazing friendships. And, people are, there's some psychology around the idea that where people are moving up and down, doing the same moves and blocks and patterns, at an unconscious level, they almost become bound together as human beings. I suppose it's similar to the camaraderie or the esprit de corps of the military, something similar to that. So yeah, karate has taught me, patience with myself, patience with other people is really key. Always be mindful in this day and age. Always don't walk around with your iPhone staring at it, walking around the street. No, don't do that stuff, because people will look at you and think, if they think you're an easy target. Walk around with confidence, look around, engage in eye contact, keep your shoulders back, walk with pace. That's a really key point as well, because predatorial characters, they will be looking, it's like, if you like the African savannah, they look for a pack of, say, wildebeest, and they'll pick out the weakest looking one or the smallest looking one. Whereas when you're walking around, part of self-defense is not being in the problem situation in the first place. Basic key point, always walk around, look confident, be observant, look around you. Don't walk with your smartphone out staring at it. You're either going to walk into a lamppost and that'll mug you off, or someone will come past and think, yeah, easy mate, bang.
Thank you. I was actually just about to ask you if you had some tips. So there you go. You've already done it. But what I would say is that, most of us know that being able to defend ourselves and, at least put ourselves keep ourselves out of danger is a smart idea. But of course, a lot of people don't get round to learning, how to defend themselves. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot of scientific research, especially with children. Any form of martial art has been, many forms of martial arts have been demonstrated to develop certain regions of the brain, particularly in things like school study, where children go into, say, if you've got an hour's practice time, it's an opportunity for an individual, or an hour and a half is where I tend to find is most effective, where you can just shut your mind to all the stuff in your life. You're in your own little martial arts bubble. And what seems to happen is that unconsciously you learn to focus, so that when you're in a situation, say a workplace environment, that resource that you've developed in martial arts kind of bleeds into other areas of your life. And so children, for example, demonstratively do better at their studies. They're less emotionally disruptive. They're calmer often, because it gives them a place to express their energy and put it out there. What else? I've forgotten the question.
It doesn't matter. I know, Anthony, that you've got a daughter.
Yeah.
Does she do martial arts?
She did.
Yes.
And she did, and she keeps promising to come back. But at the moment, she's completely hooked on Korean pop music, and she just loves dancing. And she's as flamboyant as I am. So, you know, no complaints there, I'm afraid. She may come back to it, but, you know, I'm lucky enough that I've got a lot of younger students. Some of them have won competitions and cups and medals and things like that, and they're all as enthused. And you know, we do a lot of work online, the Zoom feature we've used here. So Tuesday nights we had what, 11, 12 students there, and then usually a Saturday 14, 15. So it's quite a positive exposure to the whole experience, and you know, it builds a great sense of community.
Fantastic. And we all need to be part community, don't we? We are looking to be part of it. We're really
something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
If you want to find out more about all the amazing things that you do, how would they do that, Anthony? How would they do that? Amazon for one. Your book's on Amazon.
Yeah. I've got the book. Can I show the book? Should I show the book?
Go on, show it.
Oh, go on.
Go on.
Check out.
Go on.
Check out this bad boy. Surviving the Human Zoo. I love the chimp laughing in the chair. Brilliant. Because he doesn't take the world too seriously, and neither should you. No,
absolutely. I totally agree with that. Always have a sense of humour daily.
So they can get that on Amazon. I run a karate club. The title for that is Kensho, K-E-N-S-H-O, karate.com. And if you hook up and click up and email me, you can just come along and try one of our Saturdays or Tuesday sessions for free and just see if you like it. And primarily the other one is Dentcom, D-E-N-T-C-O-M training.co.uk. So they're my two main sites, the karate site and the Dentcom training site, and obviously Amazon, have books, etc., etc.
And you're on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn, yes. You can look me up.
Facebook.
I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. There's loads of other different platforms you can go to these days, and it's just overwhelming. And I think I've got, not Snapchat, what's the other one? I'm on WhatsApp.
I don't know whether that one counts, actually.
No, there is the other one as well.
that other one,
Instagram, that's the one. Yeah, I'm on Instagram as well. I've got something on Instagram. Yeah, stick a few video clips up there every now and again.
I know that you are an absolute mine of information, and that's what I love every time I see you. You've always got something.
Oh, and I'm on YouTube. I didn't tell you that, did I?
You have now. Fantastic.
Yeah, big YouTube channel.
Okay, fabulous. All right, so yes, you're a mine of information, and I love that, because whenever I see you, you know, we always have great conversations. Yeah. So any words of wisdom that you would like to leave us with?
Again, refer back to a couple of things I said was avoid comparison with other people. The biggest loss of joy in life you can experience is if you spend your time worrying about what other people are achieving and you're not. Your life is not going in the same direction. You're meant for different things or better things. Again, think about the way you talk to yourself and look at or explore how you could dispute some of the thoughts that go around in your head. So an example might be to say to yourself, well, imagine you took a driving test and you'd failed. Someone who's a bit more on the negative side might tell themselves, oh, what a waste of time that was. What was I thinking? Stupid me. And if I had passed, I'd probably crash the car within the first 12 months, and there's 38 million. Now, the point being is, if you were more optimistic and you failed your driving test, you might say to yourself, you know what? That examiner, what an idiot. I should have. And but for the fact that they took me down that road. So what I'm saying is, you dispute the situation to attribute the results away from your own psyche, as it were. So you ask yourself questions like, well, have I succeeded in other things? I'll take the test again in the next month or so. I just need to practice on highway code or a little bit of going around maneuvering backwards, and I'll probably get it this next time round. So you're trying to create what's called short-term negativity and cutting down the amount of time you spend stirring around in your head. Always just go and watch Judge Rinder, and he'll elicit in his videos the kind of questioning cues that you need to tune into your own thinking. Or better still, pick up that Seligman book, Martin Seligman, Learn to Optimism. Absolute gem. Thousands of hours you could waste just stressing and fretting, and he'll cut all of that down, and you can just have a bit more of a productive life.
Wonderful. So it's about being yourself and looking for things that you can do, looking at what you can do, what's next, rather than thinking about what you can't.
Yeah, not feeling disempowered and falling for what they call the Pike syndrome, which is that ultimate of learned helplessness, where you just give up. There's no, there's a phrase I heard: you can do anything you want in life, provided you try, or nothing at all. Have a think about that one. It's nice that.
I have a bit of an issue with the word try.
Go on.
Yeah, just because I think that, when people say they'll try and do something, invariably they're not going to do it. Whereas if they intend to do something,
they'll just do it.
Yeah. Anyway, you're a gem, Anthony Asquith.
Thank you. As always, happy to.
Great to see you.
And you too.
See you soon in those yellow shoes, eh?
Yeah. I sold them to my friend.
That's the exit stage left. It's in Sambering. Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Pleasure. All right. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye.